Alright, boys and girls, strap in because this might be the most underrated blink and you miss it turning point that Boruto 2 Blue Vortex has been setting up in our faces the entire time. Right now, everyone's freaking out about Boruto busting out the Karma Seal, Mamushi eating people like he's auditioning for Jaws 5, and Konoha acting like Boruto is the final boss of the whole franchise. But the real plot? Well, there's an actual emotional nuclear bomb ready to go off. Mitsuki is eventually going to enter this battlefield. And when Mitsuki meets Mamushi, when Mitsuki meets Boruto, when Mitsuki meets Kawaki, that's going to be the moment that is going to hit harder than Boruto ever going into Karma version 2 and socking you in the jaw with it. Because this isn't just a fight. This is the moment where Mitsuki's entire worldview is about to fully snap. It's already been teetering. It's about to reshape, and he's gonna have to choose a side forever. And for most fans, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on it from this chapter. So join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, is going to be breaking down why Mamushi versus Mitsuki is a much bigger deal than people realize, how it directly ties into Mitsuki's Sun and Moon arc, and why this upcoming clash will change the direction of the entire story. So let's get into it, but real quick, don't forget to check out the chapter review, which would be up on the channel right now. The review did take a little bit longer than normal, particularly since this is a longer review than usual, but the editor did his thing on the review, which will be linked in the description box and the end credits, and share it with anyone you know who is following along with Boruto's manga and is curious about it. So let's get into it, and let's start with why this basically is the perfect time for this to happen. So people are looking at Mamushi and they're going, oh, this is the monster of the week, the Shinju of the week. They see him as a problem for Boruto to solve before he eventually goes up the ladder. Or in this case, goes down the ladder and gets Code, and then goes up the ladder and gets Jura, and then goes up the ladder, gets Hidari, then gets to the final boss, Kawaki, and whatever other nightmare comes crawling out of whatever Ten Tails rectum that the series has. But look at the timing right now. Mitsuki is being interrogated by Kobu. He's not fighting. He's not out of the way. He's not unconscious. He is awake. He is thinking. He is doubting. And he is being questioned specifically about his relationship with Boruto. Not that kind of relationship, but that other relationship, the Sun and Moon relationship. And while all of this is happening, Mamushi, he's inside of Konoha. Boruto's fighting him alone. Boruto has hostile shinobi who are quickly on their way. They want to kill him. And he has terrified civilians screaming about a demon named Boruto returning, a Hokage killer named Boruto returning. He has Mamushi trying to devour him because obviously Mamushi is a Ten Tails and eating Boruto is a quick way to a chakra fruit. Boruto, he's fighting for his life. Konoha's moving like Boruto's a threat. Shikamaru is secretly playing both sides, and Mitsuki is caught right in the middle. This is exactly the type of emotionally volatile situation where a character like Mitsuki, a character who, when you really look at the character, is built around the concepts of identity, attachment, and he is a philosophical contrast. He's finally about to break free from those manipulated memories. Omnipotence scrambled the facts in Mitsuki's mind, but did it rewrite his feelings? Well, we've been getting hints of the fact that Mitsuki's heart knows that something's wrong. Those feelings, they're about to resurface the moment that Mitsuki sees Boruto under direct attack. And that brings me to why this Sun and Moon reveal is already foreshadowed this moment, which, because I've been seeing discourse about this, Boruto does implement show and tell in the Mitsuki one-shot manga chapter that Naruto series Masashi Kishimoto drew as a promotional chapter for Boruto's manga, which is included in Boruto Volume 1. The Sun and Moon stuff was set up there. So remember the opening chapter of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex? Mitsuki looked at Kawaki and he was asking himself, are you really still my son? That was not a throwaway line. That was the single biggest piece of foreshadowing for the arc that we're entering. It's something that I immediately brought up when we started doing the videos surrounding the review when chapter 1 dropped. That was a crucial moment because in that scene, something fell off with Mitsuki. He didn't understand it consciously because omnipotence, it had twisted his memories, but emotionally, he knew something didn't line up. Then we got that scene of Boruto versus Mitsuki fighting. Boruto more than once could have killed him. He didn't. He stopped short and he told Mitsuki, hey fam, and I'm paraphrasing, hey fam, you don't need a son, you can shine on your own. But look, if you ever need that support, then trust, I'll be that son for you. Boruto in so many ways basically rizzed up Mitsuki right there, and that wasn't even the intention. We know Boruto is as straight as they come, but I said it to say this. Boruto didn't just spare Mitsuki. He made him a promise that cemented who he is to Mitsuki on a deeper level than any memory manipulation can overwrite. And since that moment, every time Mitsuki is gonna talk about Boruto, even if say he attacks Boruto, he's gonna hesitate, and it's because you can see it in his heart. He is wavering, he is confused. That is why he was watching Boruto and Sumire very closely a couple of chapters ago. He's now in a position where I think we could say he's not convinced that Kawaki is the son that Omnipotence is telling him to adore. He's not convinced that Boruto is the threat that everyone says he is. And now, for the first time since his memory's been rewritten, I believe we're about to see Mitsuki in a situation where he's gonna see the real Boruto in action. Not a rumor, not a one-on-one battle where he's on the other side of it. Not under orders from Shikamaru. The real Boruto in a life or death battle against a monster who wants to devour him. All while Boruto's trying to protect a village that wants to have him murdered. This is the perfect emotional trigger when you think about it, which brings me to the next point, which is that this is why this fight will force Mitsuki to see the truth. So when Mitsuki inevitably arrives on the battlefield, even if he tries to tell himself that Boruto is the enemy, the energy of that situation, it has the potential to punch through Omnipotence lies. Because here's what Mitsuki's going to see. Boruto protecting the village that wants him dead. They think he killed the Hokage. That's gonna hit Mitsuki's moral compass hard. Boruto is doing the very things that in Mitsuki's mind he would expect Kawaki to do. Boruto is risking his life for people who do not trust him. Those are key Boruto Uzumaki traits. Selflessness, compassion, loyalty. Traits that Mitsuki associate with his son. The only thing that is going to be missing is Boruto looking at Mitsuki in the face and saying, I am a visionary, I am a revolutionary, I am Boruto freaking Uzumaki. Boruto unleashing karma only because he has to is another thing that Mitsuki's going to see. Not out of hunger for power, not out of ego, but instead to protect others. Meanwhile, there's a contrast. Kawaki, he's cold, he's methodical, he's borderline cruel. Mitsuki will see that contrast instantly. Kawaki fights like a weapon. Boruto fights like a protector. Which of those are going to feel like a son that Mitsuki originally admired? Which of those is going to inspire growth rather than obedience? Which of those embodies the ideals that Orochimaru planted the seeds for Mitsuki to go seek out? The answer is obvious. It's Boruto. And that brings me to this next point, which is why Mitsuki versus Mamushi matters more than a Boruto versus Mamushi fight. So everyone's expecting Boruto to defeat Mamushi, obviously. Obviously, that's the cool thing. Typical shonen storytelling. But Mitsuki fighting against Mamushi, that is story altering. Even if it's just a Mamushi clone. Mamushi represents corrupted love and obsession because he was born from Bug's chakra. He's literally the physical manifestation of obsessive attachment turned violent. Mitsuki, meanwhile, is struggling with his own attachment. His attachment to that son figure. Mamushi is the perfect symbolic opponent. Mamushi threatens Boruto at the exact moment where Mitsuki's doubts are basically peaking. This is forcing Mitsuki to make a choice. Does he protect Kawaki, the false son, Kawaki's false worldview, or does he protect the person he in his heart feels is important, but his manipulated memories tell him that he shouldn't? Mitsuki stepping in to fight alongside Boruto or save Boruto, it would be a direct rejection of Omnipotence's attempt to rewrite his memories. Not verbally, not consciously, but emotionally, through action, through love, the very emotion that Otsutsuki do not understand. Once you act against omnipotence, you are on the road towards breaking it. Once you act towards omnipotence, you are on the road towards getting an anchor to hold on to so you can continue to move forward for every single day, every single moment that omnipotence is active. You got something to hold on to that tells you, my memory's been altered, I gotta just trust in Boruto. And that brings me to another element to this fight. Mitsuki's Sage mode, it would clash with Mamushi very well. Thematically, Mitsuki's power represents evolution and self-made identity. Mamushi represents someone who is trapped in a role that is defined for them. It is a perfect metaphor when you look at Mitsuki versus Mamushi. And that also brings me to this next point, which is that this battle has potential to push Mitsuki towards Shikamaru's side all the way. So right now, there are 3 camps that are forming inside of Konoha, despite Boruto's best efforts to not have a civil war take place. You have the loyalists. So you have people that are following Kawaki because their memories have been altered and they don't know any better. Kawaki's taking advantage of everyone thinking that he is Naruto's child. Then you have the helpers. These are the people stuck in the middle. People like Inojin that are helping Boruto, but they're not fully questioning if there's a deeper truth. But even in their mind, they know that something's wrong. And then you have the truth seekers. These are the people like Shikamaru and Sarada. The ones who know something's wrong, they're trying to fully uncover it in a way where they can present the facts and eventually help Boruto reclaim his birthright while honoring Boruto's wish to not have Kawaki exposed. Mitsuki is currently in that helper category. He's following Shikamaru's orders to secretly help Boruto, but he doesn't fully understand why, and in his heart he knows something's wrong. This battle, this is where he's going to upgrade to being in that truth seeker category, like I like to call it. Because once he sees Kawaki and Boruto fight with his own eyes against the same enemy, once he sees the differing philosophies in battle, once he sees who is protecting who is acting in which way, once he sees how one treats the village and how the other treats the village, Mitsuki is going to start asking the same questions that Shikamaru did and start asking for questions. Why doesn't this add up? Why does Boruto feel so familiar? Why do I feel like when he's in danger, I feel something deep inside of me? Why do I feel like I'm doubting Kawaki's side of the story? Even Konohamaru is starting to put those pieces together. This battle is the catalyst that moves Mitsuki into that Shikamaru camp. And Shikamaru desperately needs someone like Mitsuki, someone with powerful instincts, someone whose feelings weren't fully overridden, someone who is smart enough to start trusting his doubts. And that also brings me to the next point, which is the emotional payoff, because Mitsuki's son will finally return. So for the first time in this post-omnipotence timeline, Boruto is going to fight an enemy in front of Mitsuki. And Mitsuki will see Boruto hasn't changed, but instead start to question whether or not his memories have changed. He'll see that same boy who spared him, that same boy who believed in him, that same boy who, even after fighting him, tried to uplift him, that same boy who vowed to be his son. And in that moment, it's going to hit harder than Naruto discovering Hinata's secret OnlyFans account. Whether Mitsuki joins the battle physically or only watches from the shadows, the emotional impact is all the same. His sun, it is rising again. It is shining light on his moon. And once again, once it's been seen, once the sun has risen up, it cannot be unseen. And that sets up a major turning point for the future. This moment doesn't just matter for Mitsuki. It matters for everything coming next. Mitsuki protecting Boruto will inevitably make him question Kawaki. Kawaki already has walls closing in on him. The idea is someone like Mitsuki joining Boruto's camp, even if Kawaki doesn't realize it, that's a big deal. It also sets up a eventual confrontation with Mitsuki and Kawaki. Not because Mitsuki hates him, but because Mitsuki sees the truth that Kawaki refuses to face. And it also sets up Mitsuki's redemption arc. He's been used because of omnipotence. Kawaki willingly took advantage of that. He's been manipulated. He's been weaponized. But this battle gives him a chance to truly choose who he wants to become. And that is a beautiful payoff. That is why I referenced the one-shot manga chapter that Kishimoto drew, which you can find in Boruto Naruto Next Generations Volume 1, because this brings it full circle if the story goes this route, like I think it will. And it also sets up a future Team 7 reunion. Once Mitsuki's doubts become certainty, once Boruto gains his loyalty in full, the one who bridges that gap is gonna be Sarada, because she's been banging the drums for 3 years that Boruto's innocent. So yeah, Mamushi versus Mitsuki. This isn't filler. This isn't a side fight. This isn't some random power showcase. This is an emotional earthquake that is gonna shake Mitsuki awake. The moment where omnipotence is gonna continue to crack in his mind. This is the battle where Mitsuki potentially finally sees the truth with his own 2 eyes, not through altered memories, not through forced loyalty, but through raw, undeniable reality of who Boruto and Kawaki are. If Mitsuki steps into this fight, even for a second, the entire power balance of the story is shifting, and that is why this moment is way bigger than I think a lot of fans have realized. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking on the left for that Boruto chapter review, or click here on the right for my brand new One Piece video, or click here on the right at the bottom for the new video for my Anime Explained channel.